Hello and welcome back. My name is Colton from Ankeny Van Builds, and today's video is going to be a pretty short one. Last week you guys probably noticed the official van tour, and if you've been watching this channel you might have noticed a few tweaks and a few differences from the van tour compared to some of the van build videos. So I'm going to go ahead and use this video to address all the little minor tweaks, changes, and updates that I made that I didn't film in the van build series. Also, if you guys didn't notice, we have some brand new hoodies, new merch for Ankeny Van Builds. You can go on ankenyvanbuilds.com, grab yourself a brand new hoodie. These things are super soft. And if you haven't already, take this time to like this video, subscribe down below, and hit the notification bell. And let's go ahead and start this week's video. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is this overhead slider door compartment here. Before, if you remember in the ceiling video, I had a ceiling panel and it was at an angle, and I really didn't like it because you could see the butt of it on the side. But basically what I did was on this support beam underneath, I attached some 3/4 inch plywood similar to how I framed out the rest of the van, and then I screwed this board horizontally first to make it that 90-degree angle, and I made this piece just long enough to where it will come out to my ceiling, and then I attached this vertical piece directly to that. As you can see, some of the nail holes kind of through the paint, and then on the end I just made a cap using the template to cap that off, and I think overall it looks way better than what I had before. This is a very commonly asked question, is how I frame this part out, but this is what I came up with. And all in all, I think it looks really nice. And the next thing that I worked on without filming, as you probably could tell, is the slider door panel. What I did is I got 1/4 inch plywood, I stripped it to be the same width of these shiplap boards, and using the self-tapping screws, I attached them on either end. And then in the middle, I put a vertical framing piece using the pocket jig to attach into the framework of the slider door. So that way the weight of it stays down as much as possible, but then it looks like a continuation of the shiplap, and I think it looks really cool behind the sink there. So all in all, I'm pretty happy with how this turned out. So the next addition I want to talk about is the Goal Zero output cable. So if you watched my video on how I installed the Goal Zero and the setup, you could see I used a 12-volt cigarette plug. I cut that and I attached it to that bus bar. But what I didn't know about the Goal Zero is that it only has, each one of those 12-volt outputs is only 10 amps. But they do sell a cable that connects into all 4 of those plugs and gives you a total of a 40 amp output. So I ended up buying that, and it works so much better. And if you saw my stress test video, I was able to run the heater, the pump, the lights, the fan, and the induction stove, and the mini fridge all at once, and the Goal Zero worked out great. So you can see down here, all 4 of the 12-volt plugs are connected, goes into this cable. Then I cut it and attached the positive and the negative and plugged it right into my bus bar. So next up, I'm sorry I didn't film this, I probably should have, but this is the step that I built to go behind the swivel seats. These things are awesome. In my very first YouTube video I ever posted, I talked about how I built this setup. This one's a little bit different because I created this almost bench area for this seat on this side. So I have a piece that comes out here so your feet can sit comfortably here. It's got hinges so that you can get access to your Webasto heater. Here's a 2x4 that I screwed into this framework of the van there. That's what supports the weight of it when you're walking on it. I also have some pocket hole screws on the inside that are screwed into the floor, and then some 3/4 inch plywood supports to help support the weight and attach onto here. And then I continued the flooring up onto this over here, and then I cut these at an angle to give it a little bit of a softer look, and it's not just 90-degree angle is where your feet are going to go. And then I finish it off with some 90-degree corner trim along the edges. All in all, these steps are super clutch. That gives you a good spot for your feet to sit on or to rest, because these swivel seats, when you spin them around, are super high up. This change here was actually brought to my attention by a YouTube comment. on the van tour saying that there was a kink in this line, so I ended up cutting this tube, making it smaller so that it doesn't come up kink and then go into the pump. So I appreciate whoever made that comment about the kink. I didn't notice it before, but when you brought it up, that was a good point. I cut it and now it works a lot better. Another change that I did is I changed these to like a 550 cord paracord rope instead of that chain that I had before. The reason I did that is because when I was driving around, I noticed that the chains would rattle a little bit. It wasn't terrible, but it was enough to where I noticed it and decided to change it. So used a washer, tied a knot, and now it makes no noise at all. Still just as strong and tucks away easily and closes up just like that. And similar to what I did with the slider door, I did to these back doors. I made it look like shiplap, and then I used some 1/4-inch plywood, cut out a template, and attached it to both sides of this. And the last and final touch-up that I did was, if you watched my Renogy solar panel install video, I used that double-sided 3M permanent sticky tape to attach the mounting brackets. Well, just to be safe, I didn't want any issues later on down the road when somebody does buy this van, so I used those self-tapping screws. I used those to screw through the mounting holes that they had on those brackets, screw through that, through the double-sided tape, and then I put lap sealant all around them so there's not going to be any leaks. Now I can know for 100% sure that those solar panels aren't going to go anywhere. Not that they really would have with the 3M tape, because that stuff is really strong, but I just wanted a little bit of redundancy and sturdiness to it. So I ended up doing that as well. So next week, make sure you guys stay tuned, because I'm going to be telling everybody the future of Ankeny van builds now that this van is done. So don't miss out on that. Make sure you hit the subscribe button with the notification bell. Help this video get out to more people by liking it. And don't forget to shop Ankeny Van Builds for some new hoodies. And on that one, I just want to thank everybody for supporting this channel. So I'll see you guys on the next video. Peace.